We have some breaking news this afternoon. We have learned today that multiple people were injured, apparently burned, in an attack that happened on Pearl Street in Boulder this afternoon.
An organizer with the group Run for Their Lives says it happened during a weekly march for hostages. Now, Boulder Police is about to have a news conference here in the next couple of minutes, and we'll take you there in just a second. But first, we want to share a little bit of what we know right now through what our reporting has told us. Today, there's a group called Run for Their Lives that every week holds marches in Denver and Boulder to raise awareness for Israeli hostages in Gaza. We're told today there were about 30 to 40 people marching through Boulder. When they made it to the end of their route, which was near the courthouse and town hall there in Boulder, an organizer for that group says that there was a man who was waiting there with what appeared to be Molotov cocktails or some sort of explosive and threw one of those objects towards the crowd that was marching with Israeli flags, as well as American flags and pictures of Israeli hostages. We're told that there was a fire that was started. At least 5 people were burned, and at least 1 person was taken to the hospital at UC Health. Right now, the FBI is investigating this as an act of terror and targeted violence.
We are not aware of the extent of injuries at this point, but we know that University of Colorado Hospital, which we know is based in Aurora, has confirmed that they've received at least 2 patients from this attack so far. Also, the area in and around Pearl Street is on an evacuation order right now. Several blocks to the north, south, west, east of that area is completely blocked off. Nobody's allowed in that area. We have crews who are working to connect with the police department, the FBI, anybody who is investigating what happened here. Again, we expect to hear from the police department very soon. We're going to carry that live here so you can listen in. We're trying to learn more about who all was around that area at that time. A number of witnesses have reached out to say they saw this happen, very confused by it, seeing the fire.
At this point, we still don't know if anybody has been arrested. We aim to learn that in just a couple of minutes here from the Boulder Police Department. We have heard from both the governor's office as well as the attorney general's office. The governor's office says that Governor Polis is monitoring the situation, and we're expecting to hear from the attorney general in just a couple of minutes after the Boulder Police Conference. Here is the quote from Governor Jared Polis. I want to read that to you. This just came in about 30 minutes ago. "I'm closely monitoring the situation in Boulder, and my thoughts go out to the people who have been injured and impacted by this heinous act of terror. Hate-filled acts of any kind are unacceptable. While details emerge, the state works with local and federal law enforcement to support this investigation. More information will be provided as that becomes available." Again, the FBI is investigating this act as an act of terror and targeted violence as we wait to learn more here from the Boulder Police Department. This is a tweet from FBI Director Kash Patel. He says, "We're aware of and fully investigating a targeted terror attack in Boulder, Colorado. Our agents and local law enforcement are on scene already, and we will share updates as more information becomes available."
Again, we have heard from organizers of this walk where the victims were a part of that group. We're told about 5 people were injured. UC Health, University of Colorado Hospital, is telling us that they have received 2 of these victims at their hospital. I believe we have the tweet from the hospital organization here we can share with you, potentially, but they're telling us that 2 of the patients have gone there. Here we go. Thank you very much. 2 patients from the incident in Boulder. Due to patient privacy, of course, they're not going to share additional information about those patients. Mark Salinger, you spoke to an organizer. There is a couple people that are behind this about what's going on. We'd like to hear more from them.
My name is Stephen Redfern. I serve as the police chief here in
Boulder
Boulder,
Police
Colorado.
Department, giving us an update. Let's listen in.
Today I'm here to give you very preliminary information about an attack that occurred here in downtown Boulder at about 1:26 p.m. today. At that time, Boulder dispatch received several calls to the county courthouse located at 1325 Pearl Street here in Boulder. The initial callers indicated that there was a man with a weapon and that people were being set on fire. The initial response by our officers, we were on scene very quickly. When we arrived, we encountered multiple victims that were injured with injuries consistent with burns and other injuries. While our officers and paramedics and fire department personnel got those victims quickly to the hospital, our officers were pointed out, a suspect was pointed out to our officers on the scene. Our officers immediately encountered that suspect who was taken into custody without incident. That suspect, who I'm not able to ID at this time, was taken to the hospital with some minor injuries as well. And there's a lot more we're investigating right now before I'm able to release information on that person. The scene itself is contained, but we have a large area here in downtown Boulder closed off right now. Businesses have been closed, and we have asked people to avoid the area. This area is not safe yet. We're dealing with a vehicle of interest. We're dealing with a large area that we are making sure it's safe before we allow people to come back into the scene. If your vehicle is here in the several block perimeter that we have, please follow our social media. We will announce when the roads are open and people can retrieve their vehicle as well. I appreciate everyone's patience as we work through this complex scene. What I will say lastly is this was a beautiful Sunday afternoon in downtown Boulder on Pearl Street, and this act is unacceptable. I hope you'll join me this evening as we're working through this investigation. We are working, I just came from the command post. We've got dozens and dozens of people here, our state, local, and federal partners working through this to figure out exactly what happened. I ask for a little bit of patience as we do that, but also I ask that you join me in thinking about our victims, the families of those victims, and everyone involved in this tragedy. Our hearts go out to them, and we are going to do everything we can to work as hard as we can throughout the evening to provide more information and get answers for everyone. With that, as I stated, it would be irresponsible for me to speculate right now on motive and other things. I will take maybe a handful of questions, but then I've got to go back to a briefing.
I had a quick one.
Yes, Shaw.
Was an actual protest going on when this occurred? Were a group of people gathered and were words said that would indicate this had anything at all to do with that protest?
So what I will tell you, on Pearl Street, it's a walking pedestrian mall downtown here. There was a lot of people out. Very beautiful day. There was a group of pro-Israel people that were there in a peaceful demonstration. I wouldn't even call it a protest. I believe that happens frequently down here. They were there in that area. We are looking and actively interviewing victims and witnesses to determine if that group was targeted or others, and we just don't have those answers yet. Those are things we hope to be able to provide you later this evening.
FBI is already calling it a targeted terror attack.
Mm-hmm.
Would you also refer to it as a terror attack?
So I've been in contact with our local FBI multiple times. We are in contact with them here. We are not calling it a terror attack at this point. Again, it's way too early to speculate motive. I know there's a lot out there on social media, but I ask people just to give us a little bit of patience while we work through a really complex scene. A lot of witnesses were here. We've taken them to another location to debrief them and interview them. As we do that, I think the picture will become more clear. But it would be irresponsible for me to speculate on motive this early on. We're only a couple hours into this thing.
Was something wrong?
I'll go right here.
About the suspect, can you confirm the description about him? Because we know any picture running with social media.
I haven't seen it, and I wasn't here when he was arrested. All I know is it's an adult male. We're working to identify that person. We're working to figure out where they're from, and we're in contact with our federal partners as well as we figure that out.
Was something thrown at the group?
That is being investigated as well. So our initial call, as I mentioned, was a report that someone was setting people on fire. That is fairly consistent with the injuries that we found on scene, but we're not 100% certain how that happened, and that's what we're doing to interview. There's a lot of witnesses that we're interviewing. I suspect within this evening, we'll have a better idea of exactly how those injuries occurred.
Are you guys going to have additional security for Jewish and Israeli people helping the hostages in the circle right now? Because this is a weekly occurrence, are you guys going to now have some additional security measures to protect Jews in Boulder?
So what I will say is, again, I cannot confirm right now that this was targeted at a specific group of people. We understand that there's a lot of tensions right now on a lot of issues in the United States and everywhere. Once we have a clear motive, we will react accordingly. And if that motive was a group was targeted, we will absolutely step up and ensure that additional security, additional presence. We want people to feel safe no matter what they're here for.
How many people were injured?
I don't have an exact number. What I will say is multiple. I can confirm that Boulder Community Hospital received multiple patients, and some of those patients were transferred to other hospitals. Right now, we have detectives working to find out specifically the number. Again, hopefully later this evening we'll have an exact number. Right now, I'll just say multiple. Take one more question.
Any life-threatening injuries?
I believe so. What I'm being told is there are a range of injuries from very serious to more minor. And again, I just am. My heart goes out to those victims, and we're keeping them in our thoughts, prayers, and minds as they recover. I got to go back to the command post.
Can you take this call?
And I'll tell you that
Excuse
we are going to have another update later tonight. We will post that out and we will live stream it as well. So follow our social media for the next update. We will have another update for you this evening. Thank you.
That was Boulder Police Chief Stephen Redfern there providing an update on what they believe has happened right now on Pearl Street there in Boulder. Want to go through step by step and say what we know and then what our reporting has told us. Again, we know that at least 5 people were injured is what groups on the ground tell us there. We know that 2 people were taken to UC Health in what Boulder Police Chief Stephen Redfern is saying is in a variance of conditions, some potentially life-threatening is what he is believing. But again, this is very early on in the investigation.
We know that a suspect has been arrested, an adult male. They've not identified this man yet, and the police chief says he's not ready to point to any specific motives. He's not even ready to call this a targeted terror attack yet. Worth noting, the FBI already is. These are questions we are asking as well. They still have that area in and around Pearl Street blocked off tonight to the public because they said it's just not safe yet. What does not safe yet mean? The police chief says there is a vehicle of interest in that area and they're doing other investigative work at this time.
So we're still working to find out exactly, again, what happened here. So Boulder Police Chief Stephen Redfern has said that there was a group in the area that was marching in support of Israel and Israeli hostages being held in Gaza. As we take a look at new scene video from here in Boulder with a large police presence, obviously bomb squad and SWAT teams moving in through the area. This is right in the heart of Boulder, right on Pearl Street there. We do know, however, from our reporting that there was a group called Run for Their Lives, which holds marches in both Denver and Boulder on a weekly basis every Sunday afternoon. And they do so in support of Israeli hostages being held in Gaza right now. One of the organizers, I spoke with her just about 30 minutes ago, says that they were in the area at the time when they believed that their group was targeted by a man who was holding what looked to be Molotov cocktails or some sort of flammable object in a bottle. And from that group, the March from Their Lives group that was holding that pro-Israeli or march to raise awareness for Israeli hostages, they believed that they were targeted when he threw what looked to be a flammable object at them. That organizer of that march said that 5 people within that march were injured, including one elderly woman who, she tells us, one of the organizers says that elderly woman was caught on fire, her clothes were on fire, and had to roll around on the ground to try and get that fire off of her, to try and put out that fire. We are told that she is one of at least 2 people that was taken to a hospital. UC Health, again, has confirmed that at least 2 people have been taken to the emergency room.
We have a number of reporters and photographers who are in that area tonight, catching up with witnesses, trying to get a better sense of what's happening on the ground. One of our coworkers, Janelle Finch, yes, is available for us. Hi there, Janelle. You're at 15th and Pearl. Give us a sense of what you're seeing at your location right now.
Yeah, I think anyone who knows Boulder knows that the mall here on Pearl Street is a very, very popular place, and it's really odd to see it just completely quiet. But as we learned in the press conference earlier today, Boulder Police did close all these businesses in this area. We're about less than a half mile from where they said that incident scene was at the courthouse. But again, it's really, really quiet over here. Really just a lot of police officers pacing back and forth, lots of fire trucks, police officers down the street from us. But this entire block is just pretty closed off. No one's really around here unless you have to come get your car that you parked down here maybe earlier today before this took place. But yeah, it's a really quiet place for what usually is a very popular place.
If you could, for us, could you describe how large of a police presence there is? We've seen, unfortunately, a lot of terrible incidents in Boulder over the years. I'm thinking back to the Kin Super shooting just a couple of years ago, and as soon as we arrived there were police officers absolutely everywhere. Describe for us how big of a police presence there is right now in downtown Boulder.
Yeah, absolutely. This entire block is completely closed off. This is as far north as we can get. You can maybe see a little bit of the police tape behind us. But yeah, this is completely blocked off. Nobody in, nobody out, unless you do have to, like I said, come get a car or something like that.
Janelle Finch on the ground for us at 15th and Pearl this afternoon, describing what is a large police presence but a very quiet area now that most of that spot in Boulder has been evacuated. Thank you, Janelle. We're starting to hear from not just state leaders but Jewish leaders of prominence in our state. The Governor Jared Polis, has shared a statement today. Let's share that with you as well. This is before we even had a real rundown from police, but this is what the governor shared with us this afternoon. He's closely monitoring the situation in Boulder. By the way, Governor Polis lives in Boulder. That's where he lives. My thoughts go out to the people who have been injured, impacted by this heinous act of terror. Hate-filled acts of any kind are unacceptable. While details emerge, the state works with local and federal law enforcement to support the investigation. We're also hearing, I believe, from the JCC in Boulder as well this afternoon, which sent a statement out again before this press conference. This is what Boulder's Jewish community, JCC, sent out. We're saddened, heartbroken to learn that an incendiary device thrown at walkers in the Run for Their Lives walk on Pearl Street. Again, we have connected with this organization already today. They're raising awareness about hostages still in Gaza. Don't have the details of what's unfolding, but we promise to keep our community informed. Our hearts go out to those who witnessed this horrible attack. Prayers for a speedy recovery to those who were injured. And it sounds like they are also in touch with law enforcement.
So as in any situation like this, there's a lot of information that's coming on very quickly and a lot of reports that people can't confirm or certain law enforcement agencies are confirming, but others aren't. And we're seeing that right now. The director of the FBI, Kash Patel, has already called this a terrorist attack, a targeted act of terror, of targeted violence. However, the Boulder Police Chief, Stephen Redfern, who we just heard from, isn't willing to go that far. You see on your screen right now, Kash Patel, the director of the FBI, saying that they are investigating a targeted terror attack in Boulder, Colorado. However, when you talk to local law enforcement agents on the ground right there, the Boulder Police Department not willing to go that far. They say that they aren't able to connect the dots just yet to say that this was a targeted terror attack. However, we do know that at least one person is in custody. They were taken into custody by the Boulder Police Department without any problems or anything like that. That was shortly after the call came in at about 1:26 p.m. this afternoon, which was right outside the Boulder County Courthouse right near Pearl Street in downtown Boulder.
Yeah, and it's important to note, to Mark's point, you know, when things are coming out so fast, trying to make connections quicker than perhaps someone like a law enforcement agency won't. Chief Redfern was asked, is this a terror attack? Do you know the motive yet? And it wasn't that he dismissed it, to be clear. He just says, guys, we got a lot of questions still to ask. He noted they're interviewing people with that exact group that was marching, walking today. He called them a peaceful protest, just walking on the mall, that they're pretty frequently. But he wasn't dismissing this idea yet. He just said, listen, guys, there's a process here. We're going to go through the process. But I think that's important to point out whenever we cover stories like this.
Absolutely.
That, that there is a process, and some police chiefs, some law enforcement is like real careful, just real careful before jumping to any conclusions.
Let's talk a little bit more about that group that was marching in Boulder today. They're called Run for Their Lives, and it's a group of marchers. They have organizations both in Denver as well as Boulder, and we're told that they march every Sunday afternoon holding Israeli and American flags as well as pictures of Israeli hostages that are still in Gaza right now. And they do these marches every week in order to raise awareness for the people who are still hostage in Gaza. And that we're told from talking to the organizers and from hearing from the JCC up in Boulder that this is the group that they believe was targeted in what the FBI is now calling an act of terror.
Again, investigation's still very early. There's a large area of Boulder that is off limits right now. It's part of an evacuation zone. Our Angeline McCall is at 13th and Pine with a little bit of new information, Angeline, about what you're seeing as far as what's roped off here, what kind of access or non-access people have.
Yeah, we just saw one girl, a couple, they tried to get into their car, and police are not letting anyone really leave or go out. For instance, getting their vehicles now. We know that there have been multiple people and businesses evacuated over here to the side of me. You can see that this group, they have been evacuated from different businesses and other shops and whatnot in the area. Now, we did have a police officer come up to us as well as to the crowd saying that they are going to expand this perimeter north. And so we were sort of advised that it's because of multiple explosive devices that have been found in the area, and so they're trying to keep people safe as they continue to investigate. But that's what the police officer shared with people who were trying to get into their vehicles, shared with us just in terms of safety. And so a pretty large area. The Pearl Street Mall is behind me, but yeah, they're still working, and this is very much an active investigation.
Angelina, it's a little jarring to see people outside of this evacuation zone who are just continuing about their day. I think I saw people like dining outside of a restaurant behind you at the same time this huge police event's happening as well.
Right, yeah, this is still very new, right? This just happened within the last 3 hours, last 2.5 hours. And so, yeah, when we came here, this is a very sizable perimeter, but they're also expanding it as we speak. And so, you know, they're learning more as the time goes on. As I mentioned, multiple explosive devices that are cause of concern that they may be finding. Again, this was just a message that was relayed to the crowd, so not official. Just wanted people to be notified so that people can make the decision to potentially leave the area for their own safety. Jenny.
Yeah, and we just heard from the Boulder Police Chief, Stephen Redfern, who said that the area is not safe yet. He made that very clear, that they are still looking at a potential car that potentially is tied with the suspect or somewhere else. We know that the bomb squad is there, that the SWAT teams are there, and we're still trying to figure out exactly what is going on, if they're looking for any other people of interest, or if they're simply just trying to scan the area to make sure that everybody is safe. Angeline McCall, we appreciate it, and we'll check in with all of our crews again throughout the afternoon as we continue to follow exactly what is happening here. Though right now we know that one person is in custody in Boulder. The FBI is calling it a targeted act of terror and targeted violence. The Boulder Police Department won't go that far right now, but they do confirm that at least 2 people were taken to the hospital with what looked to be burns of some sort. They responded to a call of people being set on fire on the Pearl Street Mall right there in the middle of Boulder.
Yes, and we know this happened about 1:26 this afternoon. We have connected with an organization, again, if you're just joining us, that every week marches, walks, if you will, through the mall, and they're raising awareness about the hostages, the Israeli hostages still in Gaza. They've been doing this, they said, since October 7th. They're a known group that walks through there. They've got a presence in Denver. They've got a presence in Boulder. The police chief even referenced, yes, we know about this group. To your point, though, this is something they're still trying to do some interviews and see if they can formally connect this. We have a number of crew out there this afternoon who are trying to link up with people, speak to witnesses. A lot of witnesses saw this happen. We heard from a number of people pretty quickly who were on the ground. This didn't happen in a corner in the middle of nowhere. It was right in the middle of the mall this afternoon. Our Rachel Krause is out as well. She has been speaking to a number of witnesses. She's at the media staging where the police chief wrapped up. Rachel, catch us up on what you're learning at this hour.
Yeah, as you guys mentioned, just a few minutes ago, we were able to hear from Boulder Police Chief Stephen Redfern, who confirmed that multiple people were burned in that attack earlier today. He did not confirm that it was a terror attack that we have been hearing from higher level officials earlier, only that they are continuing to investigate. We also don't know yet exactly how many people were burned in the attack, but we do know that some of them do have life-threatening injuries. I've been spending a lot of my afternoon speaking with witnesses about what happened, what they saw, what they heard in the moments after. I spoke with a woman earlier named Brooke. She was on her lunch break from work earlier. She was out in that mall area and she saw a few people, a few pro-Israel protesters who had been in the area. She says that's pretty typical, something she's used to seeing in the area. And soon after, there was a big burst of fire. She saw a man who was shirtless carrying a glass bottle of what appeared to be something that was causing that fire. Multiple people were burned in that fire, she tells me. She saw a few women that had to peel off their burned clothes, who were sitting there in the grass in their underwear just trying to process what had happened. Their tattered, burned clothes all around them. She also says she saw a woman who was very severely burned. She had a hard time talking about what she had seen. She said it was just very gruesome to look at. She's really thinking about that woman, hoping that she's okay. Again, Boulder police have confirmed to us that multiple people were burned, were injured in this attack, a few taken to a hospital nearby for treatment. We do not have an exact number on that right now. She rushed in to help, trying to help wherever she could, and she saw a lot of other people in that area rushing in as well, carrying jugs of water, just trying to help the people who are on fire to be put out, trying to get them that help. She called 911. She knows that multiple other people did too, just trying to get them the help that she could. She's taking a few minutes off, just taking that breather right now to process what she'd happened. But just a very emotional time for a lot of people out in this area, very busy area here in Boulder, a place that people love to come together to. A really tragic thing to happen here on a Sunday afternoon. Live in Boulder, Rachel Krause, 9 News.
Let's talk a little bit more about exactly where it happened, because as you say that there are so many witnesses who saw it. This is a Sunday afternoon in one of the busiest parts of Boulder. We heard from the police chief just a couple of minutes ago say they're still trying to figure out if anybody was targeted specifically or what exactly happened, but surely there were a lot of people on the Pearl Street Mall that saw exactly what went down.
Yeah, and again, a very evolving situation because something like this, having the pro-Israel protest in this area is very common. It's something a lot of people in this area are very used to seeing. True as well of the Free Palestine movement. We have seen a lot of people out in this area, and Brooke and a lot of those folks out in the area, so that's a very common sight as well. We saw a few of the different potential to be there as far as that heated exchange, but Brooke said, you know, she was like, right in this situation, it doesn't really matter what side you're on, what thing, you know, where you're at with that situation. She just wanted to be able to help people, just wanted to make sure everybody here was okay, regardless of where you happen to view that situation. Again, they are continuing to investigate if that might have been connected, whether or not that gentleman that had the glass container was connected to this. They are continuing to look into it. Brooke said she had never seen that person before, and you know, she just says it's not indicative of what she believes the Free Palestine movement here in Boulder specifically to be. But again, police are continuing to investigate that right now, and we do expect to get more information from Boulder Police here later on this evening.
Reporting for us in Boulder tonight, Rachel, thank you. Rachel also makes a really interesting observation around the witnesses really struggling with what they saw. This sounds incredibly violent, hard to watch. We've got people we know that are injured. We don't have a clear breakdown of what the injuries levels are yet. Certainly questions we're asking, but my goodness, in the middle of the day, in the middle of the Pearl Street Mall.
We're told that the FBI is now investigating that as a terror attack. Let's go through, if you're just joining us, exactly what happened, what we know so far. Like I just mentioned, the FBI says that they are investigating an act of terror and targeted violence on Pearl Street in Boulder. Our reporting tells us that a group called Run for Their Lives, which holds weekly marches in support of hostages in Gaza, Israeli hostages in Gaza. They march on a weekly basis every Sunday afternoon carrying Israeli flags as well as American flags and pictures of Israeli hostages that are currently being held captive. We're told that they were marching today at around 1:26 p.m. The Boulder Police Department says that they got calls of people being set on fire on Pearl Street. Our reporting tells us, according to an organizer for Run for Their Lives, says that they were targeted by somebody who was throwing or carrying some sort of flammable liquid, maybe a Molotov cocktail is what they believe, and they threw it towards the group of marchers, towards the group that was marching in support of Israeli hostages. We're told that at least 5 people were burned, including one elderly woman who was badly burned, had to roll on the ground to try and put the fire out. UC Health, they have confirmed that 2 people were taken to the hospital. Those are the pieces of information that we know right now. The Boulder Police Department is still trying to piece together exactly what happened. They aren't calling it an act of terror just yet, though we have heard from FBI Director Kash Patel, who is going that far to say that this is an act of terror and targeted violence in Boulder, Colorado.
And finally, we know one adult male in custody already at this hour, not formally identified yet, and a large part in and around the mall in Boulder, in Pearl Street, is still blocked off tonight, an evacuation zone as they continue to investigate. It's an area the police chief still says not safe yet. Please do not go into that area. Stay away for your own safety as they work. This is a story that we'll be covering throughout the night. We will continue to update you here on 9 News as well as 9news.com. We are always streaming. But right now, that is the bulk of all the information that we have learned so far.
And we expect to hear from the Boulder Police Department at some point in the future, as well as potentially the governor, Governor Jared Polis, and the Attorney General. Governor Polis lives in Boulder, a prominent, obviously, member of the Jewish community, and we are expecting to hear from different elected officials as well as the Boulder Police Department throughout the evening as we learn more. And as we do learn more, we'll update you on the networks of 9 News, both on 9 News, KTVD as you're watching here, or 9 News Plus online. Thank you.